Hey everybody, I'm Tom Vasel. Welcome back to our show that we do on a weekly basis where I talk about my 10 favorite games from various publishers. And today we're taking a look at Plan B Games. Plan B Games is an interesting company. They existed because the company that they were, Sophie, who ran the company, she ran a company called F2Z, which owns Z-Man Games. This company was bought out by Asmodee. She then started another company called Plan B Games, a backup company which had some subsidiaries to it, Pretzel Games, Next Move, and eventually they bought Eggert Spiel. And then she was bought again by Asmodee. Plan B Games is now a subsidiary of Asmodee, but their best stuff so far at this point came out during that period where they were by themselves. Anyhow, here are my 10 favorite games from Plan B. Number 10 is Alma Mater. Alma Mater is a game about a university, and man, I'll tell you what, this is a game where the theme is kind of there a little bit. You have teachers and students and books. This game has one of the coolest resources in any game, tons of books, but it has an interesting idea where you want books of various colors, but not necessarily the books of your color, using other people's and hiring the right teachers and students. It comes together in a pretty solid fashion. There's a lot of cool sequences. It is definitely a push buttons, pull levers type of game, but it comes out and I think is very enjoyable. Alma Mater. Number 9 is Junk Art. Junk Art is from Pretzel Games, which is their dexterity, line of games. And Pretzel Games, Junk Art looks like a game that shouldn't be very good, because it looks like it's a bunch of pieces that someone bought from a craft store, put into a box and said, stack them. And I know this because this has been done dozens of times. Junk Art stands above many of these other games because, first of all, the pieces themselves are not just random pieces. They are crafted interestingly enough to fit together in various ways. But secondly, there's more than just stack pieces. There's an actual really interesting game/games in the box. Number 8 is Equinox. Equinox, which is a reworking of Colossal Arena, is one of my favorite 3-player games. In Equinox, there's a bunch of forest animals or spirits or whatever fighting each other. Everyone is playing cards down, and once every spirit has a card in front of them, whoever has the lowest cards eliminate it. Meanwhile, you're betting on these spirits to see which one is going to win and survive to the end of 5 rounds. Simple, fun game. It's been out for many years. This is a nice, beautiful version of it. Number 7 is Era Medieval Age. Now, there are many roll and write games where you roll dice and write things down. Era is very similar to that, but Era is, instead of writing things, has big 3-dimensional plastic pieces. I really enjoy this one, especially with the expansions. There's a lot of different buildings and things you can put in Era, but you have to decide what buildings to put in. And different buildings will give you more dice that you'll roll on your turn. And some buildings don't give you more dice, but will score you points. And you have to pick which buildings will match, getting the resources to build them. It's a little bit similar to Roll Through the Ages, which would make sense, same designer and all. But I think this one does stand out, and it does look really cool on the table. Number 6 is Azul Stained Glass of Sintra. Now, just assume this is my slot for all the Azuls, because there are currently 4 of them, although the 4th one I did not like as much. The first Azul, of course, is the most popular, but my personal favorite of the Azuls is the Stained Glass of Sintra. 1, I really like the theme. I like the idea of building stained glass. But 2, it's kind of the meanest one in this game. It also lets you pass a turn, which in Azul is a pretty big deal. And you're trying to mess over other people. I don't know, the combination I found to be very, very fun. All the Azuls, of course, are pretty neat, but that's my favorite of them. Number 5 is Camel Up. This is the 2nd edition of Camel Up. The original Camel Up won the Spiel des Jahres. And I thought it was okay at the time. I enjoyed it, but the new version changed just a few small rules, added in the expansion, upped the production value considerably, and made it one of the best party-style games that are out there. Up to 8 people are watching camels race around the board with a cool mechanism where you press a button on this plastic pyramid, a die falls out, and you see what order the camels go in. Camels are riding on each other's backs. It's silly, it's loud, it's hilarious, and very fun. Number 4 is Coimbra. Coimbra is a dice drafting game, and what I like about Coimbra is when you draft these dice and you're getting tiles and things. The dice, though, the numbers on the dice matter, but also the color on the dice matters, which is a really neat aspect. There are 4 tracks. As you move up these tracks, you get bonuses, but the higher the die is, the better it works. It offers some really good meaty choices, and it is an upper middleweight style Euro game that feels different than most stuff that's out there. Yes, there's no theme, and yes, it's very Euro style, but I really enjoy this one, and it has great components and art. Number 3 is Flick 'em Up, another dexterity game from Pretzel. This one's just straight out silly. I like Flick 'em Up because you have 2 teams. You can play as many people as you want, and it is cowboys versus cowboys, cowboys versus bad cowboys, and you are flicking discs trying to knock over cowboys with 3-dimensional cacti and houses and special bullets and things that you can fire, and eventually there's horses. It is absolutely silly, but it is a lot of fun, one of the best flicking games out there. Number 2 is Reef. Reef is a game that actually has not gotten as much buzz from Plan B as the other games in this series, Next Move series, where all the games have just 4 letters, Azul being the most famous of these. But Reef I really enjoy as you play cards and build a little reef in front of you with these chunky plastic pieces and then score, although the scoring on the card you play is usually different than the pieces that you're going to play, and deciding the order of the cards you play is really well done. This is a game that just has not got a lot of buzz, but it's fun, it's fast, and offers, I think, some really good strategic decisions in a small space. The designer Emerson, this is not the only time I'll mention him on my list, I think is one of the best designers in board gaming today, and this is a fantastic game. But my favorite game, also designed by Emerson, from Plan B Games, is Century Spice Road. And again, we're putting this here in place of all the Centuries because they simultaneously made Century Spice Road and Century Golem, same game with different themes. Then there was 2 follow-ups, Century the Trade Routes and then the Century A New World. And all these centuries could be combined. You could combine 1 and 2, 1 and 3, 2 and 3, and 1, 2, and 3. And you know what? It works. But all the games come down to a very simple thing. Take 1 quick action on your turn. Whether that action is collecting some cubes, or you're playing a card from your hand to do something, collect cubes, turn cubes into other cubes. Spend cubes to get a trade route or a golem, depending on what theme you're playing. Get a new card out from the middle of the board, which lets you train cubes in another way. Now, what I'm saying here does not make the game sound amazing. What makes the game amazing is how fast it plays. You make an action, boom, it's back to you. And I'm talking even with a full complement of players. And it feels fun. You're building an engine. The idea of playing cards or picking up and then having to pick them up before you can play them again. Picking a card for the middle. I like the Golem editions a little better because they're much prettier. But the whole thing is just absolutely fantastic and fun. So that's my favorite game from Plan B Games, the Century Spice Road, or basically the Century series of games. What's your favorite Plan B game? Let me know in the comments. But until next time, I'm Tom Vasel, and these have been my 10 favorite Plan B games here on the Dice Tower.